Our topic today is think less, think better, and feel great. When we are a child, everyone teaches us how to walk, how to talk, what to eat, what not to eat. But as we grow up, and even till we die, nobody tells us what is it that I have to think? How do I have to think? And it is very important what goes on in my mind. To discuss this very interesting and important topic, we have a special guest with us, Brother Ken from Brazil. I would like to give a little introduction about Brother Ken. Brother Ken has been in the knowledge for many years and has been practicing meditation. Apart from that, he has also traveled worldwide, giving lectures, conducting workshops, and has authored several books in 4-5 languages, some of which include The New Beginnings, The Pathways to Higher Consciousness, and many more. Welcome, Brother Ken, and thank you for giving us this time.
Yeah, it's really good to be here to share some ideas about things. As you can notice, though I live in Brazil, I'm actually born in Australia, so I speak English with an Australian accent.
So, the topic, the theme that we've chosen is think less, think better, and feel great. How apt is this phrase in today's time when we are bombarded with information and we are forced to think?
Yeah, the thing is, what to think is probably the key, because a lot of the stuff that we're bombarded with is not useful, you know. I saw a study recently that we are bombarded with the equivalent of 174 newspapers worth of information every day. If we live in a big city and we're tuned in to the world, you know, on our tablets or our smartphones or on the TV or whatever, and that's 10 times more than 30 years ago. So besides the fact that the world is becoming crazy and we have to really rush to keep our jobs, even more and more qualifications to get less and less work, it's true. You know, the thing is, if you say think less, people will say, what do you mean? We have to think more, but in fact it's not thinking more, it's thinking better. That means I have to train myself to improve the quality of my thinking, at the same time reduce it. And that's, let's say the mind is like an airport, and where playing, ideas and feelings and thoughts come, landing, and they also take off. But, a busy airport can have say, a flight every 2 minutes. Very busy airport, like Bombay. But the mind has a flight every 2 seconds, or every 1 second, something, some bit of information, some memory of something, some glimpse of another thing, an idea comes up, a feeling is there.
Maybe even less than a second.
Yeah, less than a second. So that's, if we have 1,000 waking minutes a day, that's pretty average, and you have something happen every second, that's 60,000 pieces of stuff floating around in your mind every day. And that's too much. Most of it is not useful.
True, and with the sort of information or the sort of planes that are actually moving around, the feeling that people have is that I just don't want to think. Forget about thinking less, but I just want to stop this process of thinking.
Yeah, that'd be lovely, but, most people are extremely passive. The mind is like a screen where, things are being thrown on it, projected on it, and they just sit there passively watching, and they don't realize that they can actually change what's being projected into their minds. They can actually organize their thinking better, And of course, that's the whole object of this talk, to show people how by thinking better, they'll get through their day much better than by thinking more.
So when we say think better, who decides for me what is better?
Well, that's the thing. I have to create some parameters for myself you know, I have to understand, okay, first of all, who am I? You know, like a light shines, or, you know, the flowers here are making the table look beautiful, or the seat is comfortable that it can support us. So everything, every physical thing has a purpose. What about me? You know, don't I have so I am such and such a thing, and I serve such and such a purpose. That will make everything like a shortcut. The fact is that we don't know that simple step from who am I and what am I supposed to be doing. And because of not understanding that, our mind is like a loose hose, you know, a loose water hose, it's just going all over the place. And we have to sort of hold the hose, first of all, and then control the tap.
Right.
You know, that's exactly what we have to do, and not just let it gush all over the place and we can't do anything about it.
Yeah, and maybe one of the reasons also when we look around the lives practically is that a person gets so busy with what he has to do really, that you have to get a degree, then you have to get a job, then you have to have a family, or you know those benchmarks that you know what the society or the world wants from you, that maybe a person, you know, we don't even spend enough time to sit back and think who we are and what is the purpose. And even if somebody, you know, sits back, he doesn't get the answer.
No. The thing is, what I can suggest is that first of all, somehow or the other, in the 24-hour cycle, I have to start to give some different input to myself. You know, whether it starts with 5 minutes or goes to 10 minutes, maybe 15, 20. The more I invest in my thinking, the less I will have to do, but the more I will get done, if you know what I mean. And let me give you an example. Let's say people have a to-do list.
Right.
And they have it maybe in their smartphone. They're actually applications. You can, you know, organize your tasks. Or some people have a list on the refrigerator, or, you know, a little diary where they write down what they have to do. And they feel very proud if, you know, at the end of the day, they've crossed out 80% of the tasks.
Right.
The problem is that's not the deeper question. The deeper question is, are they the tasks that I should be doing anyway? Can I get somewhere with doing actually less if I make the right decisions? If I don't have a sort of an absent-minded nature that I forget something and then I have to go back and do it all over again. So if I have more concentration and better decision power, I'll actually be thinking less, actually doing less, and getting more done. So, you know, it's a, you know, I'm maybe proud that I'm able to cross out my list, but the deeper, am I doing the right thing anyway? You know, they're the things I should be doing. Maybe because it's perfectly possible to be efficiently wrong. You know, you can do something right the wrong way. You can do something wrong the right way. And you can do something right the right way. We have to go for the third one. So what's the use of doing wrong things the right way, for example? You can spend 6 months on a mistake, and then you have to go back to zero and start all over again. So you've wasted 6 months running around like an idiot, you know, running around like a, you know, like you're like a, you know, a rat in a cage. And then you think, wow, I've wasted all my time. I've put my energy in the wrong direction. I have to go back and start again. So doing is not the way to get things done. It's being clear and then thinking properly, and then you'll get the right things done.
It's a very interesting aspect that you brought forward, that sometimes if I'm not really clear about what is it that I have to invest my energy into, then I can just ending up just on the wrong track. So what is it that a person can change in his attitude to really bring this thing practically in life? Because all of us, all the people out there are not meditators or not people who have a lot of understanding about the mind either, but they are just going on with their life. So is there some simple ways that they can really adopt in their life and take the benefit?
Well, there are simple ways, but you have to be disciplined, and that's the problem, you know.
Mm.
Even with simple things, we're not disciplined. So, you know, let's say I know that it's not a good thing to drive fast, for example, or to, you know, to overtake someone the wrong way. But if I can find a sort of, you know, I know that it's not right, but I do it. So there are simple things that we do in an inappropriate way, and this is, you know, everything will start with silence. Everything, in fact, our whole being starts with silence. It's like the basic level of our consciousness is silence. But there's so much noise built on top of that, we're not often aware of it. So I have to find moments here and there, as I said before, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, then 15, keep on increasing. But in order to be in touch with your deeper self, you know, just stop. You don't even have to fight against your thoughts, but just observe the screen of your mind and what's happening there. And the very act of observation starts to calm your thinking down, because your thoughts are like our children. We're the creators of our thoughts. They don't just come from nowhere. And this is the illusion that people have. You know, the thought, oh, I can't do anything. The problem's not the mind, it's the quality of the thinking. That's the problem. So we think that we're, you know, just watching something that's coming from nowhere. But no, it comes from me. It comes from my stage internally. It comes from my past that's recorded in me. It comes from all of these influences. And they're pushing and pulling and producing this sort of film of thinking and feeling and, you know, imagining. And we just sit there and watch it. But if I start to watch it consciously, just by watching, it's like watching your children. If the parents are around, they start to behave better, right?
Right.
When the parents are gone, they start to, you know, play up. In the same way, the thoughts, if I'm really watching them, even without trying to change anything, just watch, you'll start to calm down your thinking. Just watch it.
Brother, you mentioned about the silence, and peace and silence is what everybody's looking for. So everybody's looking for the peace of mind, for the silence of the mind. So does it mean that at that stage there is no thought in the mind?
No, no. There are actually 3 types of meditation. One type of meditation looks at the mind as, you know, too busy. And so the idea is, okay, it's like a field where a game's happening. And so they remove the players. And the players are sitting on the side, and the mind is free. And it's very good, actually, if you can do it. It's very difficult to do. But people try to make their mind blank. But that's one type of meditation. The problem is, when you stop having the attention to keep your mind free, those players that have been waiting on the sidelines, they come back and they're refreshed, and they start to do even more mischief. The second type of meditation is you replace the players with some mantra or some image or some, you know, some mandala, something, you know. You put something there in your mind, and you become one with it, or you become concentrated on that. In the same way, you remove the players and you've put something else there. So when you take that thing out, the players are also rested, and they come back and start making mischief again. What Raj Yoga does is to train the players to play better. You know, so I use my thinking to create a stage. Instead of just letting my thoughts go all over the place, I can consciously create thoughts in a certain direction. Thoughts that are related to my deeper, truer self that I'm often unaware of. And those things start to come up to the surface. And, you know, so the mind becomes calm. by using the thinking. So if you have positive thoughts, what's the direction of your life?
It is in the positive direction.
So if you have negative thoughts, what's the direction of your life? Negative. If you don't have any thoughts at all, you don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So the object is not to make the mind empty, but to make the mind full. But not full of uselessness, but full of real deep experiences. And so Raj Yoga is his last one. We use the inner processes to create an experience, and we don't need to think about it anymore.
Great. That means the players, that is the thoughts, are not bad in themselves, but it is the quality that we need to work upon.
It's the quality of the game, really. It's just like the mind is like a field that's feeling the game. You know, all of the players are jumping up and down on it. But if the game is very calm, the mind feels okay. But if the game is very violent, then the mind feels the violence too. So, you know, it's like it takes practice, but it's worth the investment in a sense, because if I invest in that, I'll have less to complain about. I'll have less running around to do. I'll have less, less worries. I'll have less fear. And so I'll be able to make better decisions. And things will be clearer. The thing is that because things are not clear, we have to think more. When things become clear, there's no question of even thinking, it's clear.
Great. That means peace of mind is a good game which is going on the mind.
It's a good game. It's a very good game. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not that there is no game happening, but a good game which is happening in the mind.
It's a very good game. And in fact, it's connected with your activities. You know, you're not doing this apart. You're not going to the jungle. You're not shaving your head and sitting on the side somewhere. You know, you're not going into sort of a cave, but you're actually engaged in your life. You're engaged in your relationships, but you're thinking less and thinking better and naturally feeling great.
Brother Ken, it'll be nice if you share more about silence of the mind.
Yeah, the image that I like a lot is a lake. You know, if you've ever seen a lake and it's surrounded by trees or a garden or even mountains, and the lake is completely still, right? Though it's full of water, it's still. And so it can reflect, you know, the trees and the mountains. Most people, they haven't seen it physically, they've seen pictures of it, such lakes. The lake has become like a mirror, yeah? So if you throw a rock into that, what happens is the image on the surface of the lake, which is just a reflection, becomes disturbed.
Right.
And you actually, after a few seconds even, according to the size of the rock you throw, you can't even make out any image anymore. And so if I have a silent mind, I can reflect. Reflection is not just, you know, a physical reflection, but to reflect on something. That means what really is happening outside of me, I can understand clearly. Now, if I'm throwing rocks into that lake, I can't understand the reality. And so I'm forced to accept my own interpretations because I can't see things clearly. There's too much disturbance going on. And each useless thought is like a rock thrown into this lake. So some are big rocks, some are tiny stones, you know. But if I'm continually throwing rocks into the lake of my mind, I can't understand anything that's happening around me because I can't reflect. I can't reflect. So you know, generally the people that we have in our minds, what we think about them, what we think they are, what we think they do, they only exist in our minds. The real person exists, but my version of the person
Exists in
only
the
exists
mind.
in my own mind.
Right.
So which is really strange, for example. When two people are talking,
Hmm.
both of them have such a sort of a composite image of the other one in their minds. Because they can't see clearly.
Right.
They're not objective. Their feelings are involved, their thoughts are involved. And so there's a lot of turmoil there. And so I'm talking to my version of you, and you're talking to your version of me, and we're not even talking to each other, actually.
Right.
So silence helps me to understand reality. Silence helps me to understand exactly what's going on in front of me, because I can reflect. And of course, reflection is connected with stillness and silence. And as we said before, stillness does not mean emptiness. It means the thing is full, but it's calm.
It's a good game.
It's a good game. It's a good game happening. So how do I produce silence? I just have to start thinking in a certain direction, which brings me to an experience. You know, let's say there are 4 steps. The first step will be to center myself, okay, and be present. Everyone, it's such a useful thing to do, you know, because we're rushing ahead into the future, we're rushing ahead into the past, rushing back into the past and mixing it up. So, first step, and we can all do it together, actually, is to become centered. So I suggest for people to sit nicely on wherever they are, on their chair, or you know, maybe if they're used to it, sit on the floor, and just become centered. First step means I'm in the center of 360 degrees of things happening around me. So I become aware, right? I can hear things, I can see things, I can see the forms and the colors, I can hear things around me, I can hear the street maybe, I can hear people in the background, but I'm in the center of all of that. First step.
So shall we have experience of that silence?
Yeah, I can take you through the 4 steps, okay? So you're the person who's practicing, right? And everyone will go with you. So first of all, sit nicely, yeah? Like, let's say the seat is like a throne and you're sitting there very nicely. And not too stiff, not too slouchy. And just become aware, don't even need to close your eyes. Just focus your gaze on something in front of you, just to let it rest in front of you. And just become aware of what's going on around you, what you can hear. You can actually become aware of your own breathing. You know, the air is coming in and out of your nostrils. Just become aware of the moment. And really, we're not in the past and we're not in the future. We're in this present moment. Future hasn't happened yet. The past is gone. And I'm in this present moment. Now, in the same way that I'm sitting on the seat, just try to imagine a subtle seat behind the eyes, in the middle of the forehead, where the being is sitting, the thinking being. This is where I do my thinking. This is where I do my deciding. So I'm just sitting there in the middle of the forehead, and I'm still aware of the things around me. I'm not running away, but I've become centered. And not just that, I'm sitting mentally in the region of the third eye. And I can actually, I'm the subtle being behind this body. You know, anyone can just visualize that. Just the tiny point of conscious energy, the thinking being, or in other words, the soul, is sitting on its subtle seat behind the eyes, in the middle of the forehead. And I allow myself to experience my most basic qualities. You know, I'm not rushing around, I'm not in the past, I'm not in the future. The thought, the thinking is slowing down, and I'm just, if I allow myself, I can experience my base qualities. You know, everything else has been built up on top of this foundation. But my foundation qualities are peace, love, happiness, purity, truth, freedom. You know, these things are natural for me. So I'm not rushing, I'm not going anywhere, I'm just allowing myself to experience my most basic qualities. And I'm actually visualizing that. I can see this tiny, I can feel more than see, I can feel the tiny point of conscious energy that I am, and I can feel that I'm just this point of peace and love and happiness, truth, purity. And so in this state I can actually remember another, you know, the place that everyone in the world looks for is they want to go, they try to reach this dimension through their prayers. They try to reach the Supreme Soul, God, through their thoughts. But I can just, in one jump of consciousness, I can put myself in this very special region of light and feel close to the source, close to the source of spiritual power, whom we call God or Prabhu or Ishwar or Allah, so many names. There's a name for in each religion, actually. So I feel very close to the source. And from there, everything around me, I haven't run away anywhere. I'm still aware of the room around me, the things around me. I'm feeling very peaceful and light, but at the same time very, very aware. And so I stay in this state of silence for a few moments more. And then very slowly I come back to the awareness of the room, and here we are again.
Thank you, brother. I definitely think it was a very peaceful moment that we captured for ourselves. And I'm sure people out there who actually, practiced it with us, and we didn't go anywhere. So we really don't have to search for peace anywhere, but just find our own self. I think there is more to know, and we must take this discussion forward. But we're going to pause here for now till we meet for the next episode. Om Shanti.